Hello. A short history of misunderstanding in the workplace, the to and the after. 1. I passed my entrance exam to become a member of the English philology students community, well enough to secure my place among them without any illegal help. In fact, I passed the written part with flying colors, which was impressive enough. Hard to imagine failing in a further examination unless I would have been completely not prepared, which was not the case. 2. When I stood up for a girl that got the incorrect number of points on her entrance exam, I was not doing any particular favor in the chronism way, as the accusation went. I was doing my duty of the examination board member. I did not know the girl, but I still remember her name and the comments. 3. I was not being arrogant when I missed the expected date of doing my extra work in one of the linguistics courses at the university. The lecturer was kind enough to trust me with a chance, and she clearly said I was to deliver the extra work done when I was ready. I had not been when she attacked me with her scandal in the middle of the corridor. 4. My emotional and mental state in the wake of my father's death was inseparably connected with the death and incompetent psychotherapist worsening my condition. Already bad. It was temporary, and her diagnosis of my needing immediate application of drugs after a visit to a psychotherapist, after a visit to a psychiatrist, and a few years of regular therapy without any guarantee of success. But I should be trying to write my MA thesis regardless. Was incorrect. I wrote my MA thesis in full control and with immense pleasure during the summer holiday. Caution: the therapist was recommended by my primary school classmate for a while, then no, who is a therapist herself. So she may know a thing or two, and you should know how to treat her assessment. 5. I was not suppressed into Scientology. I had been suppressed before I got it handled in 2001, thanks to Scientology. All the same, I was suppressed into joining the Sea Org by being suppressed out of my volunteer minister course and my first dynamic danger formula into signing the Sea Org contract in 2002. Attention! Due to being the effect of suppression, I consider the document invalid. The same concerns the second one that I signed on my second arrival at St. Hill, signed as a direct consequence of what happened at St. Hill during my first sojourn there earlier that year. Nonetheless, I am very far from being ashamed of it. Actually, I am proud, and I expect this pride to be acknowledged and respected. 6. I was not being humiliated during my EPF training in any other way than by being told by my senior that the captain did not trust me, and that was why my going to Budapest was being postponed day after day, or by not being informed in Budapest that we were to serve at a party there, and thus wearing the clothes I had been wearing throughout the day. That is, my physical work clothes after the physical work. I was invalidated on too many occasions and generally underappreciated, but never directly humiliated. 7. I considered myself far too offended on receiving the canary sheet letting me know of my dismissal from the Syriac in summer 2003 to consider myself the member of the church afterwards. It does not mean I gave up my Scientology competence or threw away my books. My religious convictions are none of anyone's apart from my spouse's, my husband's, perhaps, business. It is as intimate as one's sex. So you do trespass if you have been generously admitted to the circle of trust and then spill the beans outside. 8. I was not being particularly bitchy and therefore treating my students with faith. I was doing my duty of adequate assessment, having done my duty of adequate teaching. First, they had not done their duty of adequate learning, which is why they were treated with faith. Their neglect of duty resulted in the fails accumulating, and that in turn led to them being in danger of not getting promotion at the end of the school year. The situation was being handled by a remedial program where they neglected to do their duty again, which is the only reason why I was dismissed from the job in 2004, in time to change the final assessment before the school year finished. 9. I was utterly free of whatever mental disorders or irregularities at the time, though I do believe I had an involuntary nervous eye muscles contraction now and again. I did not assess 90% of my students as being in danger of not getting their promotions in English, but around 3 to 5 in regular classes and around 60% in one class. I expected no fails in the end, but if there were to be any, I was ready to come to school during the summer holiday to help them prepare for their additional examination in August for free. Additional examination in August is the standard remedial procedure in the case of students failing to meet the minimum requirement, which is acting in agreement with the applicable law. 10. Children who hate their teacher do not run spontaneously and jump to land on the teacher's neck or in the teacher's arms after the employment is finished. A short history of misunderstanding in the workplace, thereto and thereafter. The second part, 11. I was not having a bad influence on my pupils in Lishki, quite the reverse. The priest was having a bad influence on my pupils in Lishki and is personally and directly responsible for mobbing against me and all the hostility arising out of it. The school headmistress is responsible for the situation of mobbing occurring and continuing, herself adding to it by reprimanding me in the school corridor at the door of the computer room, where she was supposed to be teaching the children. The door opened the children in the room. The school official responsible for dutiful defense of teachers out of the office in the case of their rights being violated is accountable for failing to do so. In my case, the Polish term is społeczny inspektor pracy. Social inspector of work is my unofficial translation. 12. I wanted to introduce my class to the Sir Gawain and his ideas as represented by his pentagram on the basis of a medieval romance entitled Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Not to Satanism. Probably I am paying for this infuriating act, making the dark side angry as well. 13. I was the only teacher who considered the children's religious celebrations important enough to devote my time after class to be there with them at our class vigilia. Both the Polish teacher, previously responsible for the class, and the priest were invited but failed to turn up. The parish person was invited as well, with the same effect. Vigilia was a great success. 14. I did not resign from my employment with the school initially after the priest had called my class children's parents to church to convince them they should ask for my replacement on the basis of my supposed bad influence on their children, because I was still acting on the principle of the greatest good for the greatest number of people. It being my staying there as the island of sanity among the crazy teachers manipulated by the crazy priest. 15. Some of my class children were very unhappy about the replacement, and they were angry at the children who had contributed to the act. But I asked them not to fight. I lied that I had been replacing the previous main teacher for one semester only, to ease the tension. Though it is true, I was replacing her only for the year when she was supposed to be on her leave to improve her health condition. I believe her health irregularities greatly contributed to the mobbing I suffered. From, which had a huge impact on the development of my professional life and eventually on my life. I'm terribly sorry, but in the context of what has been done to me, I have to say it, and this is the truth, and you know it. I'm sorry. I have another. 16. Barcik and Ballada's lingo did not lose the Bendalut client because of me. I took the classes in Bendalut over in 2006, November or December, and continued teaching English there till December 2007, when I made a list of my expectations in the wake of the Bendalutz's boss's decision to rearrange the schedule. And I have reasonable grounds to be certain that Bendaluts were willing to continue our cooperation. During the time I was doing the job for the lingo, the initial 4 hours a week were changed into 12 hours a week, with 2 more groups started. Bendalut resigned from the lingo after my resigning from further work there due to reportedly no agreement on my demands from Bendalut, as reported by the lingo. 17. The contract between me and Barcik and Ballada's lingo stipulates that all I do for the Waver Royal Castle client is teach the language content provided by the lingo. I am not a party to whatever special wishes by whichever party of the contract between Barcik and Balladas Lingo and the Wawel Royal Castle Arthur Arnold or other management persons. Therefore, it is beyond the contractual demand to direct whatever comments and wishes of such nature to me. Furthermore, it is corrupted to expect the teacher to allow cheating in tests and demand that from me. 18. The B-Mart, Marek Biczak, employing me in the Veronese Gallery outlet, was pressurizing me into confirming the untruth of having done the health and safety training as specified by the labor code with my signature. There is confirming having done the training with my signature, even though he had not organized any. As I kept on refusing, he let me out of the shop and continued exerting pressure in the street, which makes me suspect that the camera he had installed was not fake, as he had told me it was to be, but real. Whatever monitoring and recording of the person in the workplace without directly informing the person of the monitoring and recording taking place is illegal. 19. I started my Facebook activity in November or December 2009 as the last resort action. In the wake of my life catastrophe, related to the triggering of sexual abuse incidents in the Veronese Gallery outlet resulting from Marek Biczak brushing my hand whenever he would hand something in or taking something out from my hand. Where his intention or lack of attention while doing so can be immaterial or not. I kept on withdrawing from the unwanted, unwarranted touch, and when I finally told him not to do so, he did not apologize or express regret in any other way. I suspect there could be recordings from the Veronese Gallery outlet available that show what had been happening to me as the past had been getting stimulated before I added my own dramatizations to twist the image. It is darn serious. 20. I was undergoing other abuse while working in the Veronese Gallery too, the one still lasting, which makes it a continual psychomanipulation taking place since March 2009 to date. I do not know who is behind it, but that has impaired my overall health condition greatly. It being perfect before starting the employment with Marek Biczak, as proved by the regular medical checkup test done just before. the labor code requirements. A short history of misunderstanding in the workplace, the to and the after. 21. This is part 3. 21. My compliments mean what they say. My irony, this is 22. My irony was deadly bitter as the consequence of the cruel treatment I had been undergoing since 2009, and my sense of humor has been formed and informed by that particular kind of irony ever since. It was not to make one laugh. It was to make one think and get wiser. 23. I did not do any undercover Scientology action. I took up Scientology again in my own way as a result of the Polish police neglecting my possible crime and certain abuse report and laughing it down in December 2009. 24. I did not start the conflict with Alexandra Kicha. She had not been honest long before the issue of supposed shame of virginity came up as an issue. I have perfect grounds to suspect, and reasonably so, that she had been running me down behind my back at the time of presupposed trust, because it is her character, sadly enough. I attacked her in public after she came to my home at the time when I was helpless, behaving as if she had been running some undercover interview, possibly recording it or broadcasting live. In the festive spirit of joking at someone, possibly sending my job application from my email account to a brothel, when I had been having serious problems of someone further ruining my life without my knowledge of what was going on and agreement to it, of course, beyond my control. Which situation caused not only the serious mental distress, but also directly endangered my health and life with a very probable occurrence of a heart attack or stroke hanging in the air. This is the time when she was amusing herself at my house. People should know her nature, the real nature behind the lovely smile, and I was personally responsible for making it known, because I had been speaking in the best words of her for years. before, against my better judgment. 25. As for the Alexandra, we were not learning for her additional VOS exam as my hobby. I knew from her and her mom that she had self-discipline problems with the exam approaching, and in that context, I offered help by going through the material with her. Even so, she did not miss a chance to go to a party and came to my place with a major hangover. Like her if you will, but be truthful about the kind of person she is in attacking me. 26. The reason for the time of my life and situations in my life that make me ashamed is sexual abuse I had undergone, and I suggest abstaining from digging into the problem unless you really want to get to know it directly by your beloved daughter having her life ruined that way. I believe trusting me on the trauma and the scope of ruin it does to a decent person's life is a much better step forward. 27. I have never sent any job application for a position that would justify the thorough checking of my present and past life, unless it was UBS, or done anything that would justify such an action on any other grounds. 28. I had been good incarnate, and what has been done to me is evil. All that have added to the trauma and suffering have placed themselves by supporting evil. And then there is not a slightest doubt about it. You have been supporting evil by acting against me. Ironically enough. As a result, the evil is triumphing now, for you have destroyed good. Attention! It is every Scientologist's duty to protect the person of goodwill, and it was every Scientologist's duty to protect me. 29. I may have lost a lot my life, but you have lost far more by losing me. 30. The only reason why I was working as a teacher was my belief in education and my willingness to help. Once gone, the continuation is out of the question. 31. By humiliating me, you have by no means taught me humility. You have taught me contempt. and hatred made me realize how greatly superior I am, and you have lost my respect. 32. Your problem with my Scientology is nothing but discrimination on the grounds of my personal philosophical conviction, which you do not even know, just pretend that you do, twisting it every time you open your mouth to pass the convoluted judgment on me as a Scientologist. This is unacceptable in a civilized country among civilized people. 33. I am very modest. Thank you for your attention.